Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you can hear me okay. It has just turned 12 o'clock, so we will go ahead and get started. As I chatted in, we do have a presentation. I'll try to make this quick so that we do have time for other questions. But we held a similar event last week on Wednesday. We've changed up the presentation a little bit to try to include some of those questions from last week. So you may see your question that you have answered on here today. That's why we've asked just to hold the questions if you can until after the presentation. So here's the agenda for what we're going to go through on these slides. Just some quick housekeeping items. I'm going to go over what a flexible spending account is through us. Try to do that quickly. I won't go too much into detail, but most of you, if you're on here, probably understand what they are, but you may get some extra information from that you haven't heard before. Then we want to talk about the CARES Act that came out in March, and that included allowing over-the-counter medications to be covered, and some FSA changes that are being allowed due to the IRS guidance that came out in May. Outside of qualifying life events. We've got some Q&A that we had from last week that we feel like are questions that are being asked a lot, and so we put those on here and have the answers to them. And then we have the option, if you're not already receiving our newsletter, you can text us to join that newsletter. That way, it's the email list. It says mailing list, but it's an email list, and we typically send out a monthly newsletter and then alerts as we get other things that may change. So real quick, we are recording this session. So for anyone who has signed up for today's webinar, we will send out an email probably tomorrow or Friday with the recording to this, if you want to listen to it again. And we'll also, for any questions that come in today, we'll try to answer those. But if we are not able to, and even if we are able to, we will create a document with the Q&A of what your questions were and the answers to those questions to share with everyone who is signed up for this webinar today. And HBR, I just wanted to point this out in the beginning because we had this question a lot last week. I referenced HBR a lot and people were messaging in what is an HBR because we will say that today. It is a health benefits representative. So wherever you work in your employing unit, you have an HR department, most likely, whether it's within the facility you work in or somewhere else. And there is typically someone there who handles benefits and can help you with your benefits. If you are not familiar with who that is, reach out to us and we can find out who that is for you. Our email address is ncflex@nc.gov, and that will be on another slide in just a minute as a resource for you. What is a flexible spending account? So quickly, a flexible spending account is where, as an employee, you set aside your own money pre-tax. So you take it out of your earnings and you're not taxed on that money, and you're using it to pay for eligible expenses that you may have already knew you were going to pay for. A convenience card is provided for these accounts. It's like a credit card. There's no PIN required. And it's one card that is provided for both accounts if you use the healthcare and the dependent daycare spending account. Outside of the card, if you're not using that to slide to pay for things, then you can file claims online, which is P&A's website, through a paper form or through their mobile app, P&A Group. P&A Group is the vendor who administers our plan, so that's why we'll mention P&A Group. NCFlex, we fall underneath the Office of State Human Resources, and we kind of run the program for the benefits, but we have vendors who do each of our plans. And then any of this information about their website and the app and claim forms can be found on our website, ncflex.org, under the FSA section. And these flexible spending accounts do require re-enrollment each year. For this year, for 2020, our annual max in our healthcare FSA is $2,700. That is per employee. So if both you and your spouse work for the state, you can both contribute in $2,700. Now, every November, approximately, the IRS comes out and tells us a new amount. That's who we follow the IRS guidelines. And typically that new amount isn't told until we're done with our open enrollment. So we can't adopt it until the next year. Last year they came out and said it was $2,750, so we will adopt that for 2021. We also, on the healthcare FSA, have a rollover. It's also called a carry forward. And for this year, it was $500. For next year, it will be $550. You get that rollover even if you don't re-enroll for the next year. It's a $25 minimum in your account to rollover, and anything over that amount will be lost if it's not filed for reimbursement by the filing deadline. And I'm going to explain the rollover a little bit more in just a minute. Expenses can, for this account, the healthcare FSA, expenses can be used for yourself, your spouse, your dependent children, or a qualifying relative. That would be like a parent that may be your tax dependent, even if they're not listed on your benefits. Your dependents do not have to be covered on medical, dental, vision, none of your plans for you to use this money for them and for their expenses that are eligible. How does the carry forward or rollover, as we call it, P&A calls it carry forward, it's the same thing. How does that work? So I put this example in here to try to explain that. During open enrollment, let's say last year you elected $2,000 for this year, but you had $450 left from 2019. Your account would show two line items right now. When you look in P&A, you'll see two different accounts. You'll see in your FSA for 2020 of $2,000 or however much you might have left after spending it, and then you'll see your 2019 carry forward. The 2020 amount is going to be used first, and then the carry forward will be used. It is available all year. It's just not going to be used till the 2020 is exhausted. And the reason is because you have until the filing deadline in this year, which is now September 30th, to file claims on that rollover money from 2019. So you may think, well, I actually had a surgery that I had done and I actually need that $450 still from 2019 expenses. You can still file until September 30th on that. That's why it's held to be used last. The example continues. It's the same example. If you use the full $2,000 from 2020 prior to September 30th, that filing deadline, the carry forward of $450 is available. It's there for you. To use it before that filing deadline, you have to file a manual claim that's either online through the app or the paper form. And then after the filing deadline, that 2019 carry forward will turn into a 2020 carry forward. That's what the new name will show. And now you could use your card for it after that filing deadline. Our filing deadline is typically in April. This year it's different because of COVID. Next year, our filing deadline, you would look at what the guide says because it may change just a little bit. I'm sorry, I think someone asked me to speak louder. Let me turn up my volume as well and see if that helps you. And I can project even more. So let's see. The example is continued. So let's say at the end of 2020, you have $300 left in your 2020 amount from the original $2,000, plus you still have your carry forward. $100 from the 2020 amount would move into the carry forward account, and so that you had a total of $550, which will be the max to carry forward to 2021. And that total $550 would be carried into 2021. Even if you don't elect any more for 2021, it's still there for you. The remaining $200 from that $300 you had left in 2020 is going to stay there for you to file claims on until the filing deadline in 2021. Now, those claims on that extra $200 have to be from 2020. And we will announce what the new filing deadline is in the guide. So just be looking for that when that comes out. We share that with your HBR, your health benefit rep. We share that with members who are on our email list. We try to send that out once it's available, the guide. The example continues. Let's say at the end of 2020, you have exhausted all of your 2020 money, and now you've tapped into your carry forward, but you still have $300 left. And now it's called the 2020 carry forward. This amount is above the $25 minimum and it's under the $550. So it will, let's see. It looks like you guys may have lost me. Let's see, make sure you can hear me. Okay. Not sure if y'all can still hear me or not. Okay, so I'm going to keep going. And you would still have until the filing deadline in 2021 to claim this money for 2020 expenses, even though it's carried forward. It is still 2020 money, so you could still claim 2020 expenses on it. If you didn't, it would just be your amount now that you have in 2021 to use. I hope that all makes sense on the carry forward. So now we're going to move on to dependent daycare account. With that one, it's actually a $5,000 max per household. That's for most employees. There are some overly compensated employees who that amount will be decreased, but for most employees, it is a $5,000 max per household. So if both you and your dependent are state employees, together you should only contribute $5,000. These funds are available through the convenience card or manually filing claims once the payroll is deducted, so you don't get to claim that money until it's actually come out of your payroll. That's a little different than the healthcare FSA, where the funds are available as soon as it becomes effective. Both you and your spouse must work to participate in this plan or be a full-time student or looking for a job full-time. Some eligible expenses on the dependent daycare are going to include childcare through age 12, before and after school care, beginning with kindergarten through age 12, payments to day camps, but not overnight camps, and daycare expenses for a qualifying child of any age, spouse, or other dependent, such as a parent, who is physically or mentally incapable of caring for themselves, and they are your tax dependent. Then you could use that money for them as well. Some ineligible expenses, we have had a lot of questions around virtual day camps because that is the new thing right now during this period. And at this time, we have been advised that they are not reimbursable by this plan, by the dependent daycare plan. If that changes, we would send that out in an announcement. Also, overnight camps, like we mentioned above, and tuition expenses, beginning with kindergarten and higher grades. Those are also not eligible. All right, let's keep going. The NCFlex convenience card, that's the card you're going to get for a flexible spending account when you are participating in either or both accounts. And so use the card for either of the expenses. If you ever try to slide it like at a daycare and it doesn't work, contact P&A. P&A's contact information is in the FSA section of our website. It's on the back of our guide. Contact them and let them know, and they may have to do something to recognize that terminal for it to be used. Cards are issued at no cost to you as a participant. They're good for 3 years. So when you re-enroll for next year for your FSA, you're not going to automatically get a brand new card unless it's expired. Once it expires, P&A will automatically reorder for you. If you want another card for your dependent and that would be like your spouse or your child over 18, then you can order those and there's no additional charge for those. If you ever lose your card or it's stolen, then please let P&A know immediately and they can order you a new card and stop that card. Just some flexible spending account resources. Like I've mentioned, the FSA section of NCFlex.org has some good stuff in it. We've got a brand new FAQ document that talks about the recent changes due to COVID. We actually have the recording from last week on there. And then ncflex.padmin.com is where you can view your account. Another way you can view your account is through the mobile app, or you can actually get to that P&A website. If you ever log into eBenefits, that's the place where you go during open enrollment to make changes to your benefits. On the left-hand side, there is a link to P&A. There's a link to MetLife if you have our dental. There's a link to iMed, which has our vision, and there's a link to your Blue Cross Blue Shield benefits, all that link to your personal accounts. Show you claims that you've had, explanation of benefit documents. That's a great place if you know how to get to your eBenefits portal. A lot of you are going to get to it directly from whatever you use for your HR portal, maybe for entering time or viewing your pay stubs. And there's P&A's customer service number. We will send out these slides also to everybody so that you can see this information that we presented if you're interested in it. But that is their customer service number. So moving on to some of the changes that have recently happened. Let's see. In March came the CARES Act, and the CARES Act allowed for over-the-counter medications and menstrual products to be eligible for reimbursement by the healthcare FSA funds. And this was retroed back to January 1st, 2020. So if you had bought anything and you still have a receipt, such as Tylenol, allergy medicine, trying to think of some other things. Contact lens solution was already on there. Sunscreen SPF was already on there. SPF 15 and above was already on there. But of other over-the-counter meds you might have bought before this came out and you still have a receipt, maybe you bought it from a website, an online retailer, you may have the receipt on there. You can submit those to P&A and get reimbursed for those items back to January 1st. Let's see. So approximately 17,500 items were added. Vitamins and supplements are not included. Vitamins and supplements can be covered if you get a letter of medical necessity from your doctor. The doctor could fill out why you need that vitamin or supplement and then prescribe it for you, basically. You submit that to P&A to get it approved, and then you could use your money for that going forward. Prenatal vitamins are automatically covered by the FSA money. It's just the other vitamins and supplements. Most merchants or stores have been updated or have updated their systems to accept the convenience card, your FSA card for these products. But if your card doesn't work, like the other day, I went and bought allergy medicine for my son at Walgreens and it didn't come off my card. And I told them, I'm pretty sure this is covered. So what I did was took a picture with my phone of the receipt and uploaded it on the app, and I was reimbursed within about 3 to 4 days from P&A. So just know that if you feel like it should be covered, at least try to file a claim with P&A and see if you can get reimbursed for it. If claims were denied previously before that March CARES Act came out, you can refile them with P&A as a new claim to try to get them reimbursed now if you haven't already. So FSA changes due to COVID-19, and that is meaning COVID is the event that's happening around us. These changes don't have to be because you have the illness. It's just what's happening around us right now. So IRS guidance came out in May 2020 for these changes. Let's see. And what the IRS said was basically, because normally we make changes during open enrollment. Outside of that, you have to have a life event to make a change on our benefits. So the IRS came out and said, you can make a change on your flexible spending accounts without a life event. And NCFlex adopted this. Now, this would include starting, increasing, decreasing, or stopping deductions on your healthcare FSA and your dependent daycare FSA. That's just a reminder of what the limits are. So if you are adding on to your healthcare FSA, if you're already at the max of $2,700, we can't add any more to that. This is only on a go-forward basis. We cannot go backwards. There's a few other things I'll mention about this change. This must be requested through your HBR or your health benefit representative at your HR department. Again, if you don't know who that is, please reach out to us and we'll help you find them. NCFlex at nc.gov. If you have a daycare change and you are adding the plan for the first time, You can do that actually through the e-benefit system, the portal where you make changes. If you're changing for any other reason, like you're canceling it or you're changing the amount, you would reach out to your health benefit representative for that. If the dependent daycare account is closed, is canceled, you say, I don't need it right now, I'm not having any charges, the card cannot be used for future expenses, but you can still file claims on future expenses through March 15th of 2021, as long as you have money still available in your account. If you reduce or cancel, you cannot go below what has already been contributed or reimbursed. The Healthcare FSA, for instance, if you ask us to stop your deductions, but you have used the full yearly amount, we cannot reduce it. We can't go below what you've been reimbursed or payroll deducted. If a Healthcare FSA account is increased or added for the first time, you didn't have it for 2020, now you want it, these adds or increases will be allowed to be used for for expenses back to January 1st. So maybe you had an expense back in February and you didn't have this account. You could add it now and use it for an expense back then. Let's see. And if you were hired after January 1st, you can't go back to January 1st for expenses. It would go back to the first of the month after your hire date. We're only going to allow one change for each plan for this plan year due to COVID. That means without a qualifying life event. If you have a qualifying life event, like if you stop your dependent daycare now and then later your children go back to childcare, you could start it back up because that is a life event. Let's see, but if you decide right now to add $500 to your Healthcare FSA and later decide, let me add another $500 with no qualifying life event, we can't do that. We will only do one change per plan without a qualifying life event. So please keep that in mind when considering your changes. We will accept change requests through September 30th. The extension to incur claims for 2019 dependent daycare, only dependent daycare, is September 30th. So if someone still had some 2019 money in their dependent daycare account, they could incur claims right now for that money, not the Healthcare FSA. There is an extension to file 2019 all FSA claims until September 30th, 2020. For the Healthcare FSA, if you are filing claims on that 2019 money, the claims must have been by December 31st of 2019. So some Q&A that we had from last week, we'll go through this and then we'll be done with the slides and we'll touch on some questions you guys are also asking, but this may answer some of your questions. So we had a question about PPE last week, and so our answer to this, I didn't put the question, but basically it was, can you use the Healthcare FSA to cover PPE? And the Healthcare FSA can be used to purchase personal protective equipment, PPE, that prevent or stop the flow of disease. This includes, but it's not limited to, face masks, gloves, disinfecting wipes, and hand sanitizer. But please note, hand sanitizer must be considered antibacterial and at least 80% alcohol. If the convenience card doesn't work when you swipe it, you have to take a picture of the hand sanitizer, as that information doesn't appear on the receipt. So use that picture also when uploading your receipt to file the claim. Wipes are also eligible, but they must be considered alcohol wipes. Another question was, can we use 2020 Healthcare FSA money to pay for 2019 expenses that were not reimbursed? No, the 2020 Healthcare FSA money can only be used for expenses that have been incurred in this year. And I'll also mention with that you cannot prepay for services. Like if you go to a chiropractor and they offer you a deal for prepaying for the next 6 months, P&A will probably flag that charge and request documentation from you, and that charge could be denied. So no prepaying for services, and the money from 2020 has to be for expenses in 2020. Another question, am I able to use my FSA convenience card for eligible items purchased through Amazon? Yes, Amazon and other retailers online, you can search for eligible FSA items. You can pick out the items you want to purchase and use your convenience card to pay for those. Another website that's pretty popular is FSAstore.com. It's just simply that, FSAstore.com. and they have a ton of stuff on their website that's FSA eligible. That's what they specialize in. You can get free shipping offers. You can get coupons from them. I've used them myself. I've ordered Band-Aids. They also have generic items on their website as well. Another question on the Healthcare FSA, will my Healthcare FSA pay for a gym membership? And let's see, I've got some bad network quality here. I'm going to keep going. It said I had bad network quality, but I hope you all can still hear me okay. Will my Healthcare FSA pay for a gym membership and or personal trainer with a letter of medical necessity from my medical provider? For a gym membership to be considered reimbursable, you must have an approved letter of medical necessity on file for a medical condition that requires exercise at a gym. So the doctor would fill out that letter of medical necessity. It would have whatever your medical condition is and basically prescribing you that exercise at the gym. Submit that to P&A to see if you can get it approved. Can I use my Healthcare FSA to pay for massages? Yes, you can with a letter of medical necessity, the same sort of thing if you have that happen. If your doctor puts on that letter of medical necessity why you need these massages and then kind of prescribes them for you, you can use your money for that if approved. We've done this in our household with a water pick. My husband was told by the dentist he should get one of those, the things that spray water in your mouth. So we got the dentist to do that letter of medical necessity, and we're able to use the funds for that. Do I need to submit a claim every time I swipe my FSA card? No, you don't. Once you swipe that card, the money is supposed to come off of that card. However, you should keep the receipts from whatever you're swiping your card for. P&A may contact you for documentation, and they will give you a certain amount of time, typically 45 days, to respond with documentation. And if you don't respond, they may stop your card until you do respond. So if you go to, my son had ear tubes a few years ago, and when we went, I swiped my card for the full $1,400 or something, and I was flagged for that. So I was contacted. It's not that they weren't going to cover it. They just needed documentation showing, number one, I had to provide like an explanation of benefits from my medical insurance to show what they were covering. To make sure I wasn't being double covered, and then what it was for, so just consider that, but not all charges have to be submitted to P&A as far as documentation unless they ask for them. The next question, what if I forgot about my FSA and paid my surgical center bill with my credit card? Can I still file a claim? Yes, you can still file a claim either online or through a paper submission. You will need to provide a copy of your explanation of benefits from the state health plan or other insurer showing the amount you owed after your insurance paid. So if you do slide your card, again, for even the smallest things at the pharmacy up to some sort of surgery, if you slide your own card, you get the receipt for that. If it's like a surgery, you would want the explanation of benefits from your medical provider and submit that to P&A for reimbursement. A next question is, if an item is classified as FSA, but the counter purchase rejects it, we kind of talked about this, will P&A accept it, or should I contact P&A and ask if it will be allowed if I submit reimbursement? Not all stores are going to be coded the right way in their system. Like I said, I tried to buy allergy medicine and it didn't come off of my card. I don't understand because it's Walgreens. They seem pretty big, but it didn't work. So if your purchase was not allowed, you can submit a receipt online or submit a paper claim form for reimbursement. And if you're not sure, just try it or call P&A and double check on that. If you are retiring and no longer employed by the state, how can you extend your Healthcare FSA? Your Healthcare FSA is eligible for COBRA continuation. You will be sent a COBRA offer once you retire or separate. You will be able to extend your Healthcare FSA by continuing to make post-tax contributions. So the contributions aren't going to be pre-tax anymore. You lose that benefit, but you do extend your time to use the money. COBRA coverage can be continued through the end of the calendar year, allowing you time to utilize your unused funds. So if it's this year, you can keep doing COBRA until the end of 2020 to have more time to use those funds. If you only want to do COBRA for a month, 2 months, you can do that also. The next few questions are on dependent daycare, some of the big questions we've gotten. Does dependent daycare FSA roll over? If our daycare is closed and we have not spent any money yet, can it be used in 2021? Our dependent daycare does not roll over. We do have a grace period for people to use the 2020 money until March 15th of 2021. If you are still making contributions but don't need to, stop the contributions from being made. Reach out to your health benefit representative and ask for them to submit a request to us, NCFlex, to stop those so that no more money is put in. The only way money would roll over into next year is if the IRS changes their guidance. And if that happens, if they change the rules, we will send out notification of that. But at this time, they are not allowing a rollover into next year. We mentioned this earlier, but we get this question a lot. Are virtual or online camps eligible dependent care expenses while we work from home? No, at this time they are not. Virtual or online camps are currently not eligible expenses on the dependent daycare FSA. Another question, if we canceled dependent daycare and did not use dependent daycare funds due to COVID, can we be reimbursed for our unused funds? And the answer is no. At this time, the IRS is not allowing us to reimburse unused funds retro back. We can stop them going forward, your contributions, but we cannot reimburse you for unused funds that have already been taken out of your paycheck. Again, if the IRS changes this, then we will let you know and we'll go forward from there. Another question is, can the dependent daycare FSA money be used to compensate a relative? It could be a relative, it could be a babysitter in your home, doesn't even have to be a relative, someone coming into your home who provides daycare for your child. Yes, these payments to relatives or other child care providers in your home qualify as care of your qualifying dependent are eligible. So if your child's under 13 years old, or they may be disabled and above 13 years old. However, the relative cannot be your tax dependent or child under the age of 19 as of the end of the calendar year. You cannot pay them for that care and get reimbursed for that. Just a couple of notes on that. When submitting a dependent care receipt for care from a relative, you are required to provide their name and address. Claims can be filed online by uploading the receipt or can be filed using a paper claim form. And for tax filing purposes, you are required to provide their name, address, identification number. And if the care provider is an individual, the taxpayer identification number is going to be their social security number. So you would have to provide that when submitting a claim to be reimbursed. Couple of reminders, our open enrollment this year is October 15th through the 31st for 2021 plan year. If you do want to re-enroll in your FSAs for next year, you do have to re-enroll every year to continue contributing, but not to keep that healthcare FSA carry forward money. And healthcare FSA account can be continued through COBRA if you leave. If you want to join our email list, then you can text NCFlex to 22828 to get started on that. So at this point, this is the end of my presentation. I'm going to jump over here. I think that my team has been answering some of your questions, but we'll look at some of those and see maybe what wasn't answered on this slide. Sorry. All right, let's see. So Linda answered someone who asked if face masks can be purchased using Flex money, and we mentioned this on here that yes, you can use Flex funds to purchase masks and other PPE items. Someone asked if can dependents be grandchildren if they live with parents in your household? They can only be dependents if you have legal custody of your grandchildren for you to use your FSA money for them. If the parents still have legal custody and they live with you, then that wouldn't count. But if you have legal custody of the grandchildren, then you could use those funds for them. How do you request a convenience card? You've never received one. And we get that question a lot in our NCFlex email box also. Someone may have not received a card, they may have lost their card, and you can call P&A. Linda put the number on there, 1-866-916-3475, or you can email NCFlex@nc.gov, and we can order you one. Where do you check your balance of your FSA? And Linda put the website there, ncflex.padmin.com, which I think was, I'm going to scroll back through here to show you the resources that we had there. So ncflex.padmin.com is their website. Again, you can also use their mobile app if you download it. Go into the App Store or Google Play and type in P&A Group, that little and sign, and it'll pull up their app. And again, if you go into eBenefits where you view your benefits or make changes, you can click on your account to the left for your FSAs, your dental, your vision, and your Blue Cross Blue Shield. Blue Cross Blue Shield, I believe, requires you to register first before they let you automatically connect, but they do have their link there also. And someone asked, if we contributed more than $450 in 2019 and did not yet submit a claim, is that lost? And Linda mentioned that the rollover for 2020 was $500, and you do have until September 30th at this point to submit claims for 2019. Our normal cutoff deadline was April 30th, and then we extended it to May 31st, and then we extended it again till September 30th. You may think you're not sure what claims to file. Maybe you have money in there and you don't know what you could file. Suggestion to go out on, if you can get into eBenefits and look at your Blue Cross Blue Shield website, link from there, or get on Blue Cross Blue Shield. I can't remember the other way, but it's called Blue Connect. There, your MetLife account or your other, if you have another dental plan, your vision account, look at your explanation of benefits. See how much you paid out of pocket. There's a way to pull like a report of everything that was filed for last year in 2019 and what your out-of-pocket cost was. If you haven't filed those amounts yet, file those amounts. Look at your purchase history on online retailers. I'm a big Amazon fan, so I buy all sorts of things on there. And back when in March, when they did the CARES Act, I was able to look and find some over-the-counter meds that I had bought on Amazon. Also, mileage is reimbursable. So I believe in our guide last year, for 2019, I'm trying to remember exactly what the amount was per mile, but it's in the guide. It was 20 cents a mile for 2019. So if you're curious about filing for mileage, give P&A a call. There's their number right there, and ask them. I believe that you have to show maybe the receipt from your doctor visit, or somehow show that you had that doctor visit, and then show how far your house is from that doctor's office. But P&A may have more suggestions for you to file that. So that's some things to consider for filing for money you still have from 2019. Again, you have until September 30th. Let's see. Someone said their 2019 carryover shows they have $49 available, but when you use your card starting in 2020, the funds have been taken out of the NCFlex 20 account rather than the carryover. And that's right. We talked about the carry forward. How can you spend that down for $49 from your next purchase? So, like Linda mentioned there, after September 30th, you will be able to use your card for that money, but that money is not going to be touched until you exhaust all of your 2020 money. So if you have exhausted all of your 2020 money already and you need that $49, you will have to pay out of pocket first and then file a manual claim, either on the app, the website, or through a paper form. And then after September 30th, again, it would be available on your card. Someone asked, you will retire from the state on June 30th of 2020 and will not re-enroll in the Health FSA account. You still have $1,000 in your account. How can you use this money? And must you file, or can you put it on the card? And Linda mentioned about the COBRA. We also mentioned about the COBRA because a healthcare FSA is not available to contribute into as a retiree on a pre-tax basis. So you would just take it through a COBRA plan, a continuation plan. You would pay those premiums post-tax, and then you would have more time to file claims on that $1,000 you have left. Let's see. And you may also want to think about just make sure you filed everything you need to for this year so far. Maybe you did have some over-the-counter medications prior to when they became allowed in March that you could file for. Someone mentioned that they tried to use their flex funds to buy a mask a month ago and it would not go through. When did this take effect? And Linda mentioned that not all vendors have their systems coded for these items. So if you still have your receipt, you can submit it online or through a paper form. So if you have purchased anything like that and you do have proof of it, file it with P&A. Someone said they have a 27-year-old daughter. Can they use the flex money to pay for their glasses or dental care? For the money to be used on your children, they must be under age 26, unless they are mentally or physically incapable of caring for themselves. Then that would be something that you would contact P&A about and ask for them to be considered for that money. I have someone that said they are retiring in October and plan to carry over the $550 into 2021. You won't have any NC health, dental, vision insurance after you retire in October. You have another source of insurance. Will you be able to use the $550 for medical expenses incurred in 2021? And Linda mentioned, no, once you retire, you can COBRA the plan through the current calendar year, but that carry forward is not going to go forward because your account will be termed after 12/31 if you COBRA it. If you don't COBRA it, it will be termed at the end of the month that you finish working. And she put the FSAstore.com on there to show you that's an option. We mentioned that earlier of where you could go to see some eligible items that you could spend that money on. Someone asked, can I stop my contribution for this year from July since I am not going to unnecessary doctor's appointments? And Kimberly mentioned, yes, please contact your HR office with your request. So any request to start, stop, change your amounts right now, again, please reach out to your health benefit representative or your HR department. If you're not sure who that is, email us ncflex@nc.gov and we can help you with that. Remember, just one request without a qualifying life event for each account. So if you request to add on to or stop your deductions for the healthcare FSA, later you could not request another change without a qualifying life event. However, if you have a life event like marriage, birth, divorce, something like that, that is a life event that you could again make a change later on. Let's see. Someone mentioned that they started contributing around halfway through the year in 2019, but they're not sure how much they contributed. They have filed nothing so far. They continued contributions in 2020 as well. They said, I can go back and get older receipts from medical providers, but the convenience card is what I really need moving forward. And I have had problems with getting one of these. And Linda again put on there, you can call P&A at this number here to get a convenience card. You can email us ncflex@nc.gov and we can get you one. And you do have till September 30th to file claims. Again, remember, you can go on your Blue Cross Blue Shield site, your dental site, your vision site, find those out-of-pocket expenses from those explanation of benefits to file for reimbursement if you haven't already. Someone asked if the filing deadline is September 30th for 2019 balance. Do the expenses have to be from 2019? For the healthcare FSA, yes, they do. For the dependent daycare, they could have also been in 2020 up until September 30th. But healthcare FSA, it does have to be dated in 2019. Someone asked, in our example, why would a person have spent their full 2020 amount but still have 2019 carry forward? Shouldn't the older amount be spent down first? And Linda answered that also. Again, the new amount is spent first because that carry forward sits there just in case someone files a claim on it from the prior year. If they don't, it is available to you. It is your money. And like I mentioned, at the end of 2020, both accounts will kind of be looked at, and a total from both accounts, the carry forward and the new amount, they will group together, and up to $550 can roll into 2021. So. Someone said, I'm contributing towards dependent daycare, and with no camps are open, I am not able to enroll my kids in camps except that they attend a couple of virtual camps. How do we use this amount this year? And Linda mentioned, if you're in this situation, you can stop your contributions. Please reach out to your health benefit rep on that to stop those immediately if you don't think you're going to use them. The funds that you have contributed to date can be utilized for daycare services through March 15th of next year. And I know some people, their camps were canceled, and you may not even be comfortable sending your child to camp, and that's understandable. There are some camps that are open if you are interested in finding those. I know the YMCA is one of them. They still have camps open. I think there's some other ones around, and I can't think of them. I only know YMCA because I use it personally, but there are still some camps open if you want to consider them. But if not, then you do have until March 15th of next year, if you use childcare at all until through that time, to use that money, even if you stop contributions. Someone asked, are dependents covered for FSA expenses like pediatrician visits, regardless of whether they are covered under your insurance or your spouse's? That's true. So you could have a child that maybe your spouse covers their medical, and you want to use your healthcare FSA money for them. You can. They are your dependent. They do not have to be on any of your plans. Same thing with your spouse. Even if your spouse has his own medical, his or her own medical, you can still use the money for them. You can use the money for their prescriptions, for their doctor's visits, stuff like that, their eyeglasses. Someone asked, do I go in the Beacon to update my changes to FSA? And typically, if you are a Beacon employee, you do go through ESS to access your e-benefits link. That's what links you to your benefits portal during open enrollment. Normally, if you have a qualifying life event, that's how it works. For this event, we didn't add it into the e-benefit system. We're just doing it directly through a request from your HBR, your health benefit representative. So please reach out directly to them. Someone asked, is the carry forward process for health benefits an automatic process, or do we have to request the carry forward up to the max allowed that year? And it is an automatic process, and Linda did answer that. You don't need to do anything to have your funds roll over for 2021. So, and I'm gonna jump right here to the new, make sure, let's see. Someone asked what the name of the app for the phone was, and it's P&A Group. If you look right here on the slide that's up, just type in P and signed A Group when you look in the App Store or Google Play. Let's see. So someone asked, if you're retiring and over 65 and don't need COBRA, any extension with this? So even if you're over 65 and retiring, you can still COBRA the healthcare FSA. It doesn't, the age doesn't matter as far as the healthcare FSA and continuing that through COBRA, so you could still take that with you. Someone asked, are laxatives allowed, an allowable OTC item, or do you need a prescription? And I am not 100% sure on that one. But if that wasn't already answered on here, we'll answer that in the Q&A that we send out. You could also call P&A and just double check if you want to, like if you need to know. The FSA store also has, if you go to fsastore.com, you can look up a lot of items, and if they mark it as FSA eligible, then you can kind of see from there what's eligible and what's not. You don't even have to buy anything from there, but that's a good starting point if you're curious if something's eligible or not. Let's see. Someone asked, does FSA cover mental health appointments? And if that's kind of like a specialist. So if it's something that you may file with your medical insurance, and you may not because it might be an out-of-network person, but it should be reimbursable. The copay or the cost to go there should be reimbursable by your healthcare FSA, even if the medical doesn't cover anything on there. But anything that medical does cover, you can't use your healthcare FSA for. It would be whatever medical doesn't cover. Someone asked if they stop dependent daycare contributions by June, shall we submit claims for the amount contributed until June if we send kids to daycare and later this year? If you stop your deductions now, you can continue to incur claims on the dependent daycare FSA through March 15th of next year. And then you will have until the filing deadline to file on those claims. Again, that filing deadline will be announced in the guide. It is typically April 30th. It may change a little next year. Not 100% sure. So just keep an eye on that guide when that comes out. And this recording is going to be provided right now. So once this is over, we can download it and we will send it out to anyone who is registered for this meeting. And we'll send it out through that. It'll come from NCFlex at nc.gov email address. We'll also send out a Q&A later with questions and answers from today's session. Someone asked, what is the age limit for your dependent children? For the healthcare FSA money, it is age 26. To use the dependent daycare spending account for them, it is age 13. Those ages can extend if the child is mentally or physically incapable of caring for themselves. And I'll also send out these slides to you as well so you can view those. Someone asked, what other documentation do you need for a claim if you only have an invoice? It kind of depends. Like if you go to a dentist provider and you slide your card for whatever amount they charge you for, and then you submit that via claim. Well, let's say that you slide your convenience card. It's going to go through, but P&A may reach back out to you for documentation, or you may slide your credit card and later submit that invoice that you paid. Because it was a dental provider, P&A is going to request probably the explanation of benefits, which is on the website typically. Like MetLife is who we use for our dental for NCFlex, and MetLife provides the explanations of benefits, also called EOBs, on that on their website where you sign into your account. And you would need to provide that also, because P&A is going to want to see how much MetLife paid on the claim and how much you paid out of pocket. Someone asked if and I think you meant the dependent daycare FSA, not the HSA. Will the dependent daycare FSA count towards drop-off centers? There is a drop-off center that keeps children from 8 to 11. I do believe that's going to count because it is child daycare, even if it is a drop-in center. They would have to have a tax ID. They would have to give you an invoice to show what the date of service was, how much you paid, and a tax ID on there. You would need that information to file. Or if you do try to pay via convenience card and it doesn't work, I would reach out to P&A and let them know that you're trying to use that card at that facility. But it is a child care center. Someone asked if we're accepting claim forms via email. It only says by fax or mail, but I don't have access to a printer. We do, as far as I know, P&A does not accept them through email. You could always call and ask them. But if you do have it on your computer and you are able to get on their website, ncflex.padmin.com, you could upload that form on there and file a claim online, which I like that way if you're able to do it, because you can just type in the really quick information like what was the date of service, which account are you filing this on, and then you upload the document and submit it, versus a paper form that you have to fill out all the information on. But some people still like that, and that's okay too. But if you have the form on your computer, you should be able to upload it on the website. But again, you can call P&A about the email. I'm not 100% sure on that. Oh, okay. So someone said that they tried to text the 22828 to sign up for our email list, and they're getting back a message saying that their email address is invalid, that you're trying to sign up for. If you could please email me, ncflex@nc.gov, or email us what email address you want us to sign you up on for the mailing list, and I can do it manually for you. I'm not sure why that's been a problem for you. Sorry. Have the agency health benefit reps been notified that we can make changes to your contributions amount without a QLE due to this legislative change? It sounds like some of your HR contacts are not aware. We have tried our best to make everyone aware. We have sent out emails, we have provided webinars, we've provided information on our website at this point. There are still going to be some that are not aware. If that's true and you find that they're not, please reach out to us. If they are giving you some pushback and you think that this is a valid change that you can make, reach out to us and we'll reach out to them for you and talk to them about the changes that are being allowed. Let's see. So someone asked, when the IRS first published the rule change for 2020, enabling you to increase your funds, you were told that you needed to submit a request and an explanation as to why. And you said, why do we have to submit an explanation? I think originally health benefit reps, and it was kind of unclear when we sent it out, because we said employees can make these changes due to COVID. And immediately there were some HBRs that thought, okay, well, the employee has to have the illness to be able to make this change. But that's not the case. There does not have to be a reason. So you could just let them know that if they're still requesting that reason, if you haven't requested it yet, you could just let them know, I'm requesting it because changes are being allowed without a qualifying life event at this time. And again, if you get pushback, just let us know, NCFlex@nc.gov, and we can reach out to them. I've seen some HBRs do that where they ask for an explanation, and I just think there was some misunderstanding in the beginning that there did have to be a reason. But this change is being allowed without a life event, so there doesn't really need to be a reason. You could just want more money in your account for whatever reason. Which website has links on the left for all of our benefits, Blue Cross, Flex, and Dental? So if you go into eBenefits, and that is kind of vague, but eBenefits is the website that you go to during open enrollment to make your changes. If you're with Beacon, it's linked directly through ESS. If you're with a university, it's linked directly through whatever HR portal you use. Most likely, I think most of them have that. Check with your HR department how to get to eBenefits. That's going to be your enrollment portal and where you can find those links. That is where you see all of the medical and NCFlex benefits you are enrolled in, where you can add and change your beneficiaries, where you make a qualifying life event change, and that's where that information is located. And we only have just a couple minutes left, so we'll answer a few more questions while we can. If I buy over-the-counter medications but lost my receipt, is there another way we can claim the amount expended? Not that I know of, because you would have to show proof that you did purchase that item. That's all I could think. I can't really think of any other way. You could call P&A and ask them, but if you can't prove that you bought it, I'm not sure that there would be a way to do that. Please put the text number back up. I'm going to go back to the end. It may be too late if this person is already dropped, but that is the text number if you want to get on our mailing list. If it's not working, email us, ncflex@nc.gov, and we'll get you on our email. So someone asked, someone asked to be clear, they have $200 in carry forward from 2019, and if you do not submit reimbursement before September, does that money roll to 2020 and be applied to your 2020 available funds and used for 2020 expenses? Yes, it does. If you have a carry forward account, it's available all of 2020. That September 30th date, what that significance is for you to file claims on any 2019 expenses. If you want to tap into that carry forward for those expenses, or if you have money over that carry forward amount, some people have a lot more left over other than the carry forward that they're trying to claim on. But if you just have that carry forward, yes, after September 30th, it's going to be available to you still. It's available all of 2020. I'll answer one more question. When we said COBRA, the plan, would you explain what that means? So what COBRA is, it's, let's see, it's the Consolidated Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act of 1986. And what this does is allows an employee or dependents to continue coverage. Those are certain coverages like medical, dental, vision, and the healthcare FSA for a certain period after they separate. And they're, by law, these plans have to allow this continuation of coverage through that Reconciliation Act. So that's what COBRA means. So it is 1:01. The hour is up, so we will go ahead and end this. I really appreciate you guys joining today and hanging on with me. Again, we'll send this recording out, questions and answers in the slides. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.